But Jordan, let's go ahead and get into this interesting game that we just watched against the Florida State Seminoles. Our Tigers came out and went 3-and-out. Florida State came out, went 3-and-out, and it was certainly an interesting game to say the least. We go down, score a field goal, go on to score a couple touchdowns, and then after about the end of the first quarter, when we hit that screen pass to TJ Moore where he took it in for, I think, a 26-yard touchdown, our offense didn't see the end zone for the rest of the game. Now, the interesting thing about this game, Jordan, in my opinion, is the stat sheet, right? If you go read this stat sheet without looking at the final score, you would think Clemson probably put up 40-plus points on the Florida State Seminoles tonight, and that just wasn't the case. Now, credit that some to Florida State's defense. Obviously, they were playing all night to not give up the big play against the Clemson Tigers. They've seen the past few weeks Clemson likes to take shots downfield. They like to hit those explosive plays and really get teams out of it quickly. And Florida State was just not going to let that happen tonight. They weren't going to let things get behind them. They weren't going to let Clemson consistently hit those explosive plays. They were going to force Clemson to go on 10, 12 play drives in order to score points. And credit Florida State's defense. In the red zone, they held up. They were kind of a bend, don't break style of defense. Clemson puts up 500 yards of total offense tonight, but only 29 points on the scoreboard. 2 block kicks, lots of things that went well for the offense, lots of things that didn't go well. What were your kind of overarching thoughts on the game? And then we'll kind of get into some specifics after that.
Yeah. I think we should start with just crediting Florida State because, I did feel like heading into this game we would get a really strong Florida State effort, at least in the first half. But one of the things that we had seen from them throughout the last, really just every game since that Georgia Tech game where, they come out with this really, really strong effort, especially defensively in the first half. But then when, the offense isn't generating points and they're not, picking them up, the quit factor starts to seep in. Yeah. You didn't get that impression. In fact, you played a lot better in the first half than you did the second. If you're Clemson offensively,
yeah,
and that is a credit to Florida State's defense. I thought their defensive line was disruptive. I thought their corners really held up for much of the night. That was which I said in the pregame show, like their corners are really talented. AZ yeah. Thomas and Fentrell Cypress, those are future NFL guys. But you just kind of were hoping that you would eventually get, that dam would break, kind of like it did against Stanford, and it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So that has to be better. And we got to see more from them. And special teams, the 2 block kicks, inexcusable. Can that, especially after it happened again the second time, like you just yeah. for the same reason. It was the same look. They obviously saw something on tape, throughout the first 4 games of the season that said, okay, we're going to be able to take advantages. So cool, you got us one time, but it was also just poor effort on that first one by TJ Parker. But the second time should have never happened. Like you should be able to, you should have been able to see that and like, okay, we need to change our protection up a little bit, and just didn't. And you allowed the same thing to happen twice. So that wasn't good. And defensively, it's hard to say they played poorly when you only give up 250 yards of offense, but they did not on money downs and key downs. They did not get off the field when they needed to.
Yeah,
and we'll talk about it more in depth. But they have to play better as well. But they gave it was run defense was really good. 1 yard per carry, you'll take that.
Oh, for sure. You'll take that any day of the week. You can't complain about that. As much as we like to complain on this show, we can't complain about that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it's just a weird game. You look at the stat sheet, and the stat sheet just doesn't match the final score. And if you watch the game, I mean, Clemson really did dominate this entire football game. They really did. From start to finish, they dominated. But it was just certain key things that they lacked tonight. They lacked the ability to punch the ball in when they got in the red zone on offense. Red zone offense was absolutely atrocious tonight. It looked like the red zone offense of last season, right? Of previous iterations of the Clemson Tigers. And it's really just unacceptable to not be able to finish that many times in the red zone. You understand that your offense sputters and may have to settle for a field goal here or there. But to have to settle for 7 field goals in a game, I think is unacceptable. You got to figure out a way to generate more offense in the red zone and finish those drives. I think that really hurt the Tigers tonight, and they're going to have a lot on tape that they get to coach these guys hard and fix some things, because clearly the execution was not there when the field got tighter, and the defense can use not only the sidelines, but they can use the back of the end zone as kind of extra guys to play defense with. And you could tell that it challenged Clemson, and Clemson did not deliver in the red zone whatsoever. As far as the defense goes, I think they gave up, a few more explosive plays than you would like to see them give up. Thankfully, Florida State's receivers are not good at all. That is confirmed. It wasn't DJ. It was just their receivers are not good. And I'm sorry if that, irritates Florida State fans, but it's just factually true. Clemson was lucky tonight because there could have been a lot more explosive plays hit against this Clemson Tiger defense, where these wide receivers got 2 hands on the ball and they just dropped it, being wide open. I've never seen so many wide open passes, or not wide open passes, but passes that hit the receiver in both his hands, and they just end up on the ground. It's crazy. That's got to be frustrating to watch. We've been there as Clemson fans, so I can feel your pain there. That is super frustrating, but I'm glad it happened because there would have been a lot more explosive plays. But